Hey everyone, it's Jeannie, and today I'm sharing this no coloring card featuring ink on threes, honey bunny, BeYoutiful, and beautiful butterfly stamps and companion stamps. I am starting off with the solid stamps from the Beautiful Butterfly companion stamps. They basically work with each other. One has the outlines of the butterflies and one is the solids, and you can use them together or separate. So that's kind of cool. If you don't feel like coloring like me today, you can use the solid stamps to color up your butterflies. And I decided to do this in a rainbow array of colors using the Atelier inks. And how I'm doing that is just using a blending tool and pouncing on the colors from the Atelier ink pads and adding them where I would like them. So these ink pads are super juicy, so a lot of the times my blending foam already has a ton of ink on them, and I don't really add more ink unless I really need to if it's very light. I'm using my Misti so I can stamp my images in the same location, and I make sure that it is in the corner sitting flush in my Misti each time because I want it to stamp in the right place. So as long as you make sure you have your piece of paper in the corner, it will stamp in the exact same place every single time. So I'm finishing up this rainbow array of colors. I really liked how it turned out. Then I will go ahead and pull out the Beautiful Butterfly stamps and use those outlines and stamp this with ink on threes Blackout ink, which is just a black ink that you can use for Copic coloring or watercoloring. So I'm going to do that with all three butterflies. I think that it just adds a really pretty detail to the butterflies, even though the silhouettes do look really pretty on its own. I think I might do another card with just the silhouettes, only because it's so fun and there's so many ways that you could use this as well, just as a background, and then you can stamp over it. I also thought about doing the same rainbow colors, like maybe 3 colors for each silhouette, and then kind of doing a galaxy theme within the silhouette colors, but I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more, and I usually do really like solid stamps because I didn't feel like coloring today, and this was the perfect way of using them and creating a card without the coloring. So I pulled out the sentiment from the Beautiful Butterfly stamp set, and I'm just stamping it in my Misti using Blackout ink, and then I decided to pull out the hearts from the Honey Bunny stamp set. That's the only thing I'm using. There's clusters of hearts, but I decided to kind of stick with 3 of them, kind of like embellishments. It just works great with odd numbers, and that's what I went with. So for the hearts, I obviously went with Marilyn red to stamp them out, and I stamp it twice just to get a really solid red heart, and I think they're really pretty. So I wanted some kind of embellishment because I knew that I was going to use black ink for the rest of the images that I'll be stamping. So for the rest of the images, I'm using the BeYoutiful stamp set, which is a floral stamp set. It's one of my favorites because it's really easy to watercolor. It's really easy to Copic colors because there's so much large open spaces. There are details within the leaves that kind of give you that extra dimension that you need, or the extra lines so you can color with a ton of dimension. But here, again, we're not doing any coloring, and I decided just to use the smaller leafy images and the flower buds just to fill up the space around the butterflies. And I think it's a really cool effect because it really pops out the colorful butterflies and it brings your focus to them versus the background of the floral images just stamped in black. So I am using my Misti to do this, and it's so helpful because I'm able to get it stamped in the position that I want it to. I can play around with it, and you just have to be careful if you want to double stamp. You just need to make sure that your paper hasn't moved. I was going to leave the top right hand corner empty, but it felt too empty, and I don't know, sometimes I think that I always want to fill up the space, and I think I'm glad I did. Because of the colorful butterflies, your focus kind of goes to the left hand side of the card. The flowers kind of are a subtle backdrop, so you kind of see it, you kind of pay attention, but the main focus is still the butterflies. I felt like I needed a little bit more color, so I pulled out my Tombow twin tone pens. One side has like a felt tip and it's a little bit thicker, and then there's a fine tip side which is thinner. So I used both mainly because I wanted to create dimension in the dots, and what I did was I picked out a color matching the rainbow and I went ahead and dotted around it. So I've done dot coloring before just to create that effect around images, and I think it's kind of cool don't have to color, you can always dot, and that's what I'm doing here. I think it was a really easy way to fill up the panel with color, but not too much color since we have that from the butterflies. That's basically what I'm doing. I'm just dotting away. I'll actually go back with the felt tip side just to make bigger dots, so there's a little bit more dimension around the dots. I didn't want it just to have two sizes, and I just wanted some variety among those dots, and I think that it fills up the space really well. Of course, some colors are lighter than others, like the yellow. I think it just looks really good. It's not too crazy or overpowering, but it's like that subtle look to the card that kind of makes it a little special. So I ended up deciding to trim this down a little bit so I can mat it on a piece of black cardstock. This is my thing. I do it all the time. I just tend to mat my cards, mainly because I hate taking pictures of white card panels because it's just hard to take good photos. And then I really like how it just kind of makes your card panel pop. Most of my cards are matted, but that is it for the card. Once I adhered the card panel to the black cardstock, I decided to go in with a gray Copic marker, just kind of to outline the butterflies, to make them pop a little bit. It's super subtle, not something you need to do, but I thought might as well see if that helps, and it kind of does. Anyway, this is the card for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got an idea for a no coloring card. So I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!